Hi, my name is Karl Juhlke, and I'm the developer behind Buried Treasure, and today we're going to be doing a how to play game. Alright, so I've set up for a multiplayer game. I'm just going to be playing by myself, using the gameplay mechanics in a multiplayer game, and then I'll actually introduce a second player in, just to show you what ship-to-ship combat does, and that sort of thing. So right now, you'll see that everyone starts off with a player board. Everyone puts two ship tokens. You put your ship token, one on the dock, and you see all the different directions. That shows which direction you move when there's a storm. And then you put one on your health, and this is number 6. So if you put it full health, you get a coin, and you get an item from the shop. The top one, deal 1 to each player, and then after that, you create the shop. So now I can actually go and buy these things here. So, because it's just myself playing a multiplayer, this is not the mode you should play when you want to do single player. This is the mode you should play with 2 or more players. So, what's going to happen is I'm essentially just going to be exploring without anyone attacking me. But, like I said, I'm going to be having this guy, this red player, come in and attack me later, just to show you what ship-to-ship combat does and what happens when you land on certain things. You have 3 choices when taking your turn. You can either sail and move in the existing tiles around the game board and move around that way. But as you can see at the start of the game, there are no existing tiles other than the dock, so you can't really do that on your first turn for the first player. Then you have exploration, where you actually explore, you draw tiles, you roll this, you draw that amount out one at a time, and you'll actually start building the world around it. So that's called exploring. Or you can remain. Now you can remain 1 time per turn. That allows you to stay on the tile you're currently on. You cannot remain on a sea creature tile or on a pirate tile. You have to move off of those. So I'm actually going to, for my first turn, remain. And I can sell this for 5 if I want. You know what? I will. I'll sell this. I'll put that out of frame. And I'm going to pick up the double cannon instead. Because it's a buy 10. So that the anchor was a sell for 5. And I'm going to use my 5 that I started off with to get this double cannon. And with the double cannon, it comes with 4 ammo. So I get 4 cannonballs. I put that in the cannonball section or the ammo section. So that's it. I've remained. I've done that. My turn is done. I can buy wow, that's funny. I can buy as much as I want to, but this is all I'm going to be doing. The double cannon allows you to shoot 2 cannonballs per combat, and the regular cannon allows you to fire 1 cannonball per combat. I can also choose to only fire 1 cannonball from the double cannon, though. So, or choose to fire nothing. So, we'll do that as it comes along. So, I've remained. I got rid of my anchor, so I actually can't remain again. So I have to explore. Roll that. Then I have this bag of tiles, and just you basically just draw 1 tile at a time until you match the number that was rolled. So I have just an empty water tile. So now I choose, I get to place it on one of these open spots around me. So I'm going to actually go this way here, and I move, and that's my turn. So you can only go on the open spots. You can't obviously place another tile on top of the other one. You're building a map, and you're building this world, you're exploring it, and then you can sail throughout it as well. And just, I really wanted to create that sense when creating this game. So I have that. So good. So I have my 1. There's the water tile. It does nothing. So I'm going to choose to explore again. So I roll the 1. Take another one. It's another water. There is a 50% water tile to special tile ratio. And draw out 1 at a time. Okay, so here's a pirate. So pirate's up here. So now I have to actually draw a pirate card. So I'm going to move those off to the side. It's Captain William Kidd, and he's a +1. So what happens now is here's the defense die, and here's the attack die. Essentially, the pirate rolls the attack die, so it's a 4, and I roll the defense die, which is also a 4. Perfect. So we take the attack die and add the base value of the card to it. So here, if you look, it shows it as a +1. So he's a +1 to his 4, so he has 5. I have 4. Now I can use my ship upgrades to fire my cannon. So I'm actually going to take one cannonball and fire it to give a +1 to me. So I get a 5. If you tie in the game, you win. If you're fighting against another player, you need to do one better. If you tie, you both just lose health. So I win because I have my 5 to his 5. And now I roll these 2 dice. These 2 dice are the treasure dice. This is the multiplier and this is the base value. So I roll it. I get 4 times 3, so I get 12 treasures for that encounter. Just put that in your treasure. And I believe I rolled a 2. Yep, I rolled a 2. So I am going to draw my second tile, wherever the tile bag is now. Now, if I had not successfully overcome this pirate, if I lost the battle, let's say, my turn would be done. I wouldn't be able to draw my second one. Okay, so I drew, I don't know how close to the top, I think I'm getting rather close to the top. I drew a diving tile. I can only access that as a diving tile if I have a diving bell, and I don't. There are 3 diving bells in there, so that's pretty much how you do that. So I'm going to roll. I got another 2. I'm going to take out the 1, which is water. And then my second one, again, it's water. So 2. Once again, you would obviously be playing with another person to do this version, but this is just to show you the gameplay mechanics. So I rolled an island, so I get an island card, and it says buried treasure, so I just get to roll the treasure dice. If a card does not have any, like if you see this pirate, you'll see that there is a strength bonus. If there is no strength bonus, and if the card does not say you need a special weapon like something like this just means you can use ship parts against it. Then it basically, if it has neither one of these, if it just has a plain base like this, and the text doesn't say you need something, then essentially you just get to roll the treasure dice. So I get 8 for this, and because it is an island, I put a plundered token on it. That is very important. So I'm going to just put this here, because that means that someone's already plundered the island. When you land on a plundered island, let's just say I was here and I sailed over, blah, 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 and landed on here, I would have to roll either the defense die or the attack die and roll it. If I got a 5 or a 6, I get to draw an island card. If I rolled a 1, 2, 3, or 4, I don't get to roll an island card. Basically, it's trying to simulate an island being plundered. The most obvious treasure has been taken, so now you have to search for it. And it's a searching mechanism, essentially, for treasure, and you didn't find it that turn. So I don't actually remember if that was my first tile or second tile, but since this is just a single-player version of the multiplayer game, I'm just going to roll again. And this goes up here. This is not a creature. So we'll go here. Once again, it's diving, and I can't interact with it yet. And then my next one is a creature. Cool. So you can place it anywhere you want. There are strategies if you want to cut people off, because if you start, like if I started here, or I sailed here, and I want to explore, I only have 1 outlet to go, so you could actually block someone in. So they have to sail and they can't explore. So here's a creature, mermaids. Now, as I showed you here, there was a strength strength bonus. This one has a strength bonus of +0. You still need to attack this mermaid, okay? So it's +0 though. So it's just basically her die roll. So move those off to the side. So she is a 5 and I am a 5. So without even needing to use my double cannon, I defeat her and I roll the 2 treasure dice, which is a 12. I am doing very well today. And yeah, that's that. So I keep rolling and keep going through. Now this is a good one, because this is a shop. So essentially I get to, when you draw a shop, you take the entire storefront, discard it, and draw an entirely new storefront. So we have a keg storage, cutlass, boarding plank, diving bell. Oh, that's good. And cutlass. So you have a few different types of weapons. You have your ship parts here, and the ship parts allow you to attack sea creatures and pirates and other players. And then you have hand items, and the hand item allows you to attack people on islands or creatures on islands, and sometimes they're needed to go diving. So the boarding plank is a mix between the two. It's something for your ship that allows you to use hand-to-hand weapons on hand-to-hand weapons on ship combat. So you can attack pirates and other players and in fact use your cutlass, that sort of thing. So today I'm going to be spending some money, 15 here, and buying a diving bell. I am limited to 3. I can sell whatever I want. You can buy and sell. You cannot refresh the shop until your turn is completely done. Or you can pay 5 coins and refresh the shop just like we did when we discovered this shop. So I have the diving bell, and that's good, but I also know that to go diving, sometimes you need a cutlass. So I'm actually going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5, and I'll get a cutlass and put it in the hand weapons. And what else should I do? Keg storage is good because you can actually get kegs, such as this, and either use them in combat as a +3 bonus, I believe. Yes, as a +3 bonus per powder keg. You can only use 1 per combat, and from there you can also choose to, like if I'm sailing, I can also go, okay, I'm dropping it there. And now anyone who enters that needs to basically destroy the keg or lose 1 ship health. So it's kind of cool. Okay, so I am actually content to leave it like this. I might actually spend 2 coins and get 1 more cannonball because I used the cannonball on a previous encounter. So okay, I'm done. Okay, and here's the standard cannon. Sometimes these are the things you want. Boarding axe is really good. It's a +2. It is a cost of 10 compared to the 5, but this can either just be used in hand-to-hand combat or for diving or islands, but you can also use it to cut off someone's boarding plank. So if someone has a boarding plank and they have, let's just say, a boarding axe and a blunderbuss, which gives you a +4 bonus, gives them a +4 bonus, and that would mean them winning, you can also use your boarding axe instead of the damage to prevent someone from boarding. So you can basically just cut it down the boarding axe, which is, the boarding plank, which is kind of cool. Okay, so my turn was done. I'll roll again. And essentially you just keep doing this. You keep exploring. I'm going to go here and just try to fill in the spots. I like filling in the spots. So yeah, you basically just keep going. I was dumb. I'm going to actually show you how to do this now. So instead of exploring, I'm going to choose to sail for my next turn. So I get to move up to 2. You don't need to move that entire distance. So I'm going to go 1, 2. I do have a diving bell now. So I'm going to actually pull a diving card. It says, sunken ship. A storm must have sunken the ship to the depths. You take away its treasures quickly and quietly. So this doesn't have a strength bonus or a ship part or hand weapon. That means that I get to just roll for treasure. So I get 12. So the diving bell paid for it. No, not quite yet. Soon. Within the first one, I have 12. I paid 15 for it. So on diving locations, you also put the plunder token. It works the exact same way as islands, so you do that. For my next turn, I'm going to sail 3, 1, 2, and go diving here. Coral reef. So it does show that there is a hand weapon that's needed. It says the ships sunken in the coral reef are circling with predators looking for a meal. Use a boarding axe or cutlass to get to the treasure. So I do have a cutlass, which is why I got it. So I get to roll. There's only 6 treasure there, so it wasn't much. But I've at least now made my money back, and I'm going to show you there. I'm going to move back there, and the plunder token's on. I'm going to be crazy just to show you. So 2, 1, 2, and I'm going to roll for treasure. Not roll for treasure, see if there was treasure because I'm searching. I rolled a 6. If you roll a 5 or a 6, you get another island card if you're not on an island, or another diving card if you are diving. So I found another piece of treasure. So I get a locked chest. The lock mechanism has corroded over the years under the salty water. This only makes it easier to get the treasure out. So, once again, no strength bonus and no hand item or ship part. So I get to actually roll that. So I get an 8. And since there's already a plunder token on there, I don't need to add another one. So I just get my 8. And in fact, you know what? I'm going to stay there. I'm going to remain for my next turn. Oh, and I got a 6, so I get it again. Abyss. You dove so deep, you lose your next turn. Thankfully, the treasure you found made it worth the while. So I get ×2 treasure, because it'll say up here ×2 treasure. However, in a multiplayer game or a single player game, it actually is not good to lose a turn just because it'll skip over you. And in a single player game, you're actually playing against a pirate, and the pirate is going to come and attack you. So the pirate gets to move 2 times essentially. So, but I get a 12, so I actually get 24 for that. So I'm going to take 25 here and put away 1. Okay, so that's essentially the game. I'm going to show you now actually how ship-to-ship combat works. So let's just say this person here was on this island. Actually, let's take away this plunder token. Okay, so let's just say they were on this island and I sailed and oh, I get a 2. So I don't have to move 2, I can move 1. So I move here and now I'm on the same tile that they're on. I now need to actually attack them. So in this case, since I'm the one attacking, I roll the attack die. They roll their defense die, so they get a 6 to my 3. And I don't have a boarding plank, and I only have a double cannon, which can fire 2. So the maximum I can get in this turn is 5. So because of that, they win. When you lose a combat on an island, diving, pirate, player, creature, whatever, you roll this. This is the retribution die. So you roll that, that is what I would lose. So I would lose treasure. You can lose treasure, you can lose health, you can lose ammo, you can lose your hand weapon, you can lose a ship part, and you can lose a random item. This is called the wild. Basically, if you lose against a card, you choose what you lose, but you have to choose something you have. If you lose against a player and you roll this, they get to choose what they want. So it's a fun little mechanic in there. So I rolled treasure. So what would happen is I roll these 2 dice and I lose 12 treasure. And if I'm playing to a player, I lose 12 treasure to them. If I lose 12 treasure against a card, I put it into the bank. So that would go here and that. So your treasure here is quite vulnerable. Now, the nice thing is when you're on a shop like this, you can either buy or stash. And typically people end up buying things. They buy ammo, they buy health if you're down to, let's just say 3. Basically buy a ship health for 5 per slot, so you keep going up. So going from 3 to 6 would cost you 15. You can buy ammo, you can sell things, you can buy things, like you can do anything. It's like an open market. But when you stash, you can stash up to 10 treasure. So then you can put it in there. This is your stash. This is not able to be touched by anyone. This is only for you. If you die in the game, you're out completely. You actually come back as your heir. So you're playing as your son or your daughter, or a niece or nephew. You choose the story you want for your character. But basically, what happens is you start again, and then here I get another ship card, and okay, I get my 5 treasures, and you basically like you're starting the game over again. But your stash remains the same. And that's the exciting part about your stash. And your stash is how you win. It's not how much treasure you have in your treasure spot, but how much treasure you have in your stash. If you have the 100 treasure for your regular game, you put that in your stash, you win. If you have 50 treasure in your stash, when you're playing the shorter game, you win. But it's whichever player has the most treasure. That's the player that wins. So when you're on a shop like this, that's what ends up happening. You can stash up to 10. When you're on the dock, you can buy. You cannot sell at the dock, but you can stash as much as you want. So here I would stash, okay, well, I'm going to stash, 30? I guess that total 30. 30, I'm going to put 2 5s in for a 10. 45, okay. So in this short game, minus the 12 that I just lost to this pretend player, I have 48. Treasures. So sometimes it's easier to get the treasure, sometimes it's a bit more difficult. When you're playing with other players, they'll tend to attack you and you start losing things. The more you lose your hand items or your ship parts, the more likely you are going to be having a tougher time getting treasure and that sort of thing, especially when you're dealing with mermaids and pirates. Islands, there are a few cards in here that actually are negative, where you, like Pirate Sparing Treasure is a +1. There's Booby Trap, which is a +2. Attacking Natives is a +2. There's a Giant Tree Frog. There's a Dragon's Lair. You get it. And same with the diving. There are some things that are actually pretty bad that you can lose. It's not a guaranteed treasure. For instance, there is a card in here. I'll go to show it because I love the artwork on it. It's actually this one. Here. Underwater Lair. So this is a ×2 treasure, but you have to draw a creature card. So you've drawn this, you went diving, okay, here's this, and then now you have to fight the sea chimera on top of that, but you can't use any hand items or ship weapons, which is why it's ×2 treasure. So then at that point, let's just say I drew that. Okay, so it has a 5 to my 3 and I lose. So that's what I would roll that, I would lose treasure, and great example here actually, rolling the treasure, I have no treasure. This does not count as my treasure once it's stashed, which is really cool, so you can't lose it. No one can steal this. The only way you can actually lose treasure from your stash is if you include the contract expansion. If you fail to do a contract, you first take it out of your treasure, and if you don't have it in your treasure, you take it out of your stash. So that's the only way. That's the only way, and you don't even need to play with that expansion. Other than that, that's pretty much it. Something I guess, if you sail, you can sail up to 4. There is a pirate where you just draw a pirate card. So if you roll that, then you'd face the pirate, battle it as if you landed on a pirate tile. The sucky thing is there's a ship upgrade called Ram, which allows you to take +2 or do an extra +2 damage because you're ramming into their ship. However, if you just roll the pirate when you're trying to sail, it means the pirate found you, and that bonus doesn't count. So rams are really good, but hull plating is actually a little bit better because it's more of a passive thing rather than the active bonus of the ram, which is both of them are still +2, just one's passive, one's active. It's better to have the passive one in this case. The other option to roll is a storm. When you roll a storm, you pick up a storm card, such as this, and it says there's a squall. So you have to move your ship to the southeast. Well, right now, I don't have a southeast. So then I have to start drawing. But how much do I draw? And in fact, I'm going to move this. This guy here, just as an example. Roll that. I don't like that roll. Okay, you know what? I'm just going to place it. I rolled a 2! So on this 2, that means anyone within a range of 2 tiles is in the storm. So it's a pretty big storm now. That means red player's in the storm as well. And I'm in the red player. And let's just say, here. Oh, there's a yellow player. So yellow player's in the storm as well. And we'll put white player here. And white player is not in the storm. And blue player is not in the storm. So we have this. Actually, blue player is in the storm. Fancy that. Okay. So what happens is now there's a range of 2. So blue, green, red, yellow all have to face the storm. So that means you roll the attack die and the defense die, and no bonuses may be used. So here, I would have lost, which means I roll the retribution die, which means I lose ammo. When you lose ammo, it's up to 5 ammo, not your choice. You can't choose, oh, I choose what to lose 1 ammo. You lose 5 ammo. If you don't have 5 ammo, like me, I have 4, you lose all of it. If you don't have ammo, then you got away scot-free. That's pretty great. But if you have more than 5 ammo, you choose which ammo you want to lose, because if you have a keg storage, you may want to actually lose cannonballs instead before your kegs, because kegs are worth more. So anyways, yeah, you have that. And then each player, so that's me. So let's just roll for red. Red wins and doesn't have to pay anything. Yellow wins, and blue loses. So blue would have to roll the retribution die. Oh, they lose ammo as well. So that's how that works. Now, the last part is you need to move. I'm at the center of the storm. I'm the one who rolled the storm, so I'm at the center. I now have to move 2 tiles because I rolled a 2. So I remove 2 tiles to the southeast, which means I take it 1 at a time. I do not deal with the tiles as I land on them. So here's the second one. There we go. So I'm there. Now, because this was the center of the storm, and you see red is 1 tile away. So essentially, if you want to do the math, you take the range of the storm minus the distance you are from the center of the storm. So for instance, I was 2. That's what the range was, 2 minus 0, because I was at the center of the storm. So I have 2 minus 0, that's why I moved 2. Now you have this red one, which is 2 minus 1, because they're 1 distance away, and they just moved 1 to the southeast. And then these 2 were 2 tiles away, so 2 minus 2 is 0. So just like an actual storm that's on the sea, as it rages out, the center is going to be the fiercest, The outer edges are going to be the calmest, so that's why they don't move. This one moves a little bit, and I move the most. So that's how storms work in the game. Some of them are actually choose your own direction. I believe it's only the whirlpools that are choose your own direction. But if you ever run out of cards in the storms or in any of the other decks, you basically just shuffle the discards and then start a brand new one. But yeah, that's essentially how you play this game. It's relatively simple, and the next video that I do will be concerning how to play a single-player game in this in Buried Treasure. Thank you for watching, and as always, there's a link to the game for the print and play files, which are free, in the description below. They are on Board Game Geek and also on my own website, so you can download it there. If you go to my website, you can actually see all the other games that we're developing and that have been developed, all for free. For the PNP files. There's also the Game Crafter link if you want to purchase this copy. Now, these cards and the dice and the tokens and the tiles are from the Game Crafter. This board here is my own, and these are actually custom built ship meeple that I designed and my dad cut out and I painted. So you'll be getting some different ship meeple, but pretty much you're going to be getting what this is. The board looks a little different, like I said, in the Game Crafter and print to play versions, but yeah, that's essentially it. And I hope you enjoy it. I hope this helped kind of give a better idea of how the game plays. And like I said, I'm going to be doing a solo version of the game next. This way you can see how that plays. This is a 1 to 5 player game. Plays for roughly, I think it was like, with all the playtesting that we did, it ended up being like around 20 to 25 minutes per player. So the longest the game had ever been was 2 hours. And it was a lot of fun. But yeah, that's essentially it. So thank you very much for watching, and yeah, I hope you have a great day.